Hello, and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2022-2023 school year. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. As we continue to adapt to a post-pandemic environment and adjust to new educational hurdles, we are pleased that we can provide you with an opportunity to complete our NACEP required activities in a platform where you can still make a connection to your liaison. Throughout the semester, ACE Liaisons scheduled live Zoom sessions to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines in which you teach. While we understand that it is not always possible for you to attend these live sessions, these sessions were recorded so you can get the benefit of the event with the discussion from those who attended. Please enjoy the recording of your annual discipline-specific activity. We hope next school year we will be able to welcome you back to our campus for an in-person event. Thank you for your continued hard work in making this program available to students.
Hi, Christian. How are you doing?
Hello, Jamie. I'm doing well.
That's good.
I'm corralling the kids right now.
I can always count on you to come to these meetings. I believe there's only going to be a few of us, as always.
Okay.
So, I don't know why I'm in black and white. I was trying to figure it out. I can't seem to figure it out. But all right, well, I guess it's gonna have to be for now. I'm gonna make this quick, so it's not gonna be too long. But I just try to mix up every time I have these little meetings, the ACE discipline meetings. I try to bring something new. To something that we haven't gone through in the past. So I believe last year we did a little bit of research on new findings, art history findings. This year we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to look at managing the art classroom. And this is sort of something that I've compiled over time. And I thought it might be a great idea to use it for this discipline meeting. So I'm going to share my screen here. And are you guys able to see these PowerPoint slides? And are you able to hear me? All right. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little closer so I'm a little bit louder. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about managing stress, managing students, the importance of time management. So we're going to go through a couple of these subjects, like I had mentioned. I've compiled this over time. I feel like it applies to all art teachers, not just art teachers that are in high school. So we'll go through this just real quickly. And this is the book that I've gathered from, or the resources that I've gathered from. There's a couple there. Yes. Now I know we are in subjects, the specialist subjects, but that doesn't mean that we you guys still?
You're in and out, Jamie.
Okay, I thought so. I'm hoping that this will clean up a little bit for you. But are you still able to see the stress slide? Okay, so managing stress is important, and regular management can be the catalyst of creating that dream job. And so these are a couple of the ways that you can do so in the art classroom. One is to just schedule your cleanup. So having a timer to go off maybe 10 minutes or 8 minutes before the class is over to just give a warning that it's time to start to pack up. Stress management. So let's say that you have a very long day and you've been on your feet all day long. I have given a couple of different tips here to how to manage that stress. And so I plan to take the first 2 minutes after a demonstration or a lecture while students are beginning to work as my time to de-stress. And some de-stressing activities might be to just refill a cup of coffee or check an email or doodle or jot down a few sentences. And this is very quick, but it could set your mind in the right place. And I think it's important for a teacher to take that moment to just breathe, to refill themselves, and then move on. Because a fast-paced environment, and we all know in the art world that we have those, that constant one thing after another can build up to cause stress in the workplace. So keep fast-paced students busy, have extra activities kept on hand, and that's helpful when there's downtime. I know with students specifically in high school, when there's downtime, it's kind of panic mode. What are these students doing and what are they going to do to my art classroom? So it's nice to have some very short, simple, extra activities on hand for moments like that. And then of course, play jazz or study music. And what I've noticed, even in the college setting, that it creates an environment, a peaceful, calm environment, and just keeping some jazz music on or something that doesn't have a whole lot of words, to something that you can't sing to, but just that type of tone does help to create that work mode environment that is helpful and peaceful. Okay, so managing the art classroom. Now the advantages of that is that, one, we do teach an interesting subject. It's meaningful, it's passionate material, and it has its own creative rewards. The disadvantages are that you have less influence, less time with the students, you less perceived importance that goes with administrators and staff as well, and teachers, parents, and administrators as lesson relevant, which is unfair to us who have spent so much time of our lives studying the subject. So I compiled a couple of different ways that we can kind of make that more important to others. But before we do that, I'm going to go into relationships. Now, relationships take a time investment, normally not available to specialist teachers. Time is very short with the art subject, but there's certain things that you can do. One-on-one rapport can be a mistake, and that's basically like befriending the students in a way that others might feel uncomfortable, or sometimes it seems awkward, leaving some to feel less important. So it's important just to keep everything professional. Do not mistake this with constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is that one-on-one time that you spend with a student, helping him to achieve certain learning concepts. Then that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about that one-on-one rapport that is sort of like buddy type of feeling that you have with other students. Not that you can't be friendly, but you want to make sure that you are equal with your time with other students. Maintaining a pleasant and friendly demeanor consistently will develop that rapport naturally in an organized classroom. Okay, and temperament. I know we all kind of have our off days, but a teacher's own temperament has the greatest effect on excitability and nervousness. That's a proven concept there. A calm, present, and presence and a warm demeanor will help maintain extremes in behavior and will relax the misbehaved classroom. So decide first method is that you're going to remain calm throughout the. We're not going to get emotionally worked up. We're going to just move on, because the emotions are one of those things that drive stress. They drive drama, circular thoughts, anxieties, worries, and that's something internal that happens with teachers. Composure. If students don't like you, trust you, and look forward to being in your class, then you'll have little leverage to influence them. And that's why the previous slide, your demeanor does make a difference. So don't fall into that habit of getting your frustration and dissatisfaction off your chest. That teacher that comes in every day that says, I hate my job, what kind of environment do you feel that gives to the students? Obviously, they're going to be in the same state. They're not going to like being there. Behavior changes only when students want to change, which is a result of fair and consistent accountability combined with a teacher students like and trust. And that was taken from the one book that I there. Taking misbehavior personally and using intimidation to force students into obedience will backfire. And then mixing consequences with talking tos, finger wagging, and admonishments leads to poor classroom management. So what they're saying here, and what the author has been sort of trying to state, is that what you give to the students is usually what you get back from the students. And a classroom management plan removes stress and emotional blow-ups. So the room environment might have something to do with misbehavior. So a disorderly classroom, and this is not everyone, obviously, but a disorderly classroom sometimes leads to the students becoming stressed or misbehavior. Respect for the room is a result of an attractive and an organized classroom. That's not always easy to keep an organized classroom, but it does help in the case where students might have that anxiety. Maintain cleanliness encourages quality. It is the truth. When you show them that your supplies are precious, they will then, in theory, and most of the time that I've had this encounter, they will in turn keep the supplies from becoming broken and whatnot. Praising students for work or performance, they're inherently good at sends a message of undue pressure to perform, which leads to identity challenges. Okay, so in this case, when you're praising students for the work that maybe they're great artists and that comes naturally, well, you're sending this message that they have to perform constantly, which leads to identity challenges. Equal praise can be seen as words that aren't genuine. So when you give students the same praise, oh, that's great, that's great, you're giving everyone sort of the same praise, what happens is the student doesn't take your words genuinely. Praise given to students based on effort and individual progress is less associated with identity. And so that's what you really want to strive for, is to have that rubric set in stone, and where what you really want to see from the students is that progress that that you spent so much time creating. And praise should not be given for expected behavior, because it lowers the bar of excellence and undermines that which is truly praiseworthy. And thanks can be given for expected behavior. So how do you approach, this is a great question for you. How do you approach praising a student for maybe work that is maybe comes naturally? Do you guys have a certain way of approaching artists such as those?
Well, after you've gone over this, I'm worrying that I overpraise them.
This is, let me go back and just mention that this is taken from a book. Okay, this is kind of piled together from it. I think it's Managing the Art Classroom is the book title. So, you know, whether or not you agree or not disagree, it's okay. But this is just something that I thought would be an interesting subject to go through. And it does make you think. As a matter of fact, as I was reading through, you know, it does help to become a really great art teacher. Okay, and passing off a student as someone else's problem will weaken your authority over the classroom and present doubt in yourself as a teacher. So these are things that this might not be a huge problem, but these are just a few things that I had compiled that I thought were interesting little tidbits there. When you pass someone else's, a student as someone else's problem, then, you know, obviously the staff will see you in a different way as well. Students need to see you handling misbehavior. This is a really great little reminder too. The pass off also shows that you are not the ultimate authority. And so you might have students who try to test your limits. What to do on bad days? Well, bad days will happen, but slow down, wait for the students to silence, let your calm presence settle down their excitability. And this brings us back to the one of the previous slides that it's best to just decide that you're not going to get overworked or get excited in different situations. So gaining immediate control over the student's excitability by refusing to move on until classroom control is gained. Habits are key. This is, I don't know, it's easier to say than to do sometimes. I mean, you're only limited with, you're limited with time, and sometimes you don't have the time to gain that control over your classroom. But if you get into a habit right from the start, sometimes it's easier to just bring that control back in, reel the students back in by the way that you're approaching them. The do it again strategy is to make the students go back and repeat the behavior again the right way. So let's say they're pumping paint out of the paint container. They pump 7 pumps, and you told them specifically, oh, you're only supposed to pump 3 pumps. One of the things that you can do is tell them to go back, read, and do it all over again. And, you know, keep re-emphasizing the good behavior. We're only doing 3 pumps, you know, and that's so on and so forth. That's just a simple example there. But repeating the behavior again the right way does seem to help to set good habits. Teacher tension, unpreparedness, and inconsistency are recipes for failure. And I've been in situations where I haven't been prepared, and yes, they are a recipe for failure. So it's really good to just keep your job professional and make sure that you are ready for the students. All right, engaging students. Okay, Sarah Dougherty from the Art of Ed recommends a number of student engagement strategies. One is that she suggests creating a diary of the behavior in her classrooms. Her suggestion is to write down what could change the behavior and try eliminating unwanted behavior. She also suggests that giving students choices gives the students control over their decisions. And to ask the students for input gives the children the power to control their situation. Giving desired choices. You have choice A, you have choice B. Which one are you going to choose? Will help to create that interest in their learning as well. So every day is a new day. So when misbehavior happens, we should be forgiving that misbehavior at the end of every day, not holding on to grudges. Teachers must choose not to hold on to those grudges. Teachers should get past, let's just say get past lessons. Teachers should let past lessons be forgotten. Okay, and allow each day to have its own chance. So basically what we're saying is to hold on to those grudges, one, creates an intimidation, a manipulation, and then also you're not going to have any sort of control over your students when you hold on to grudges. Students will know whether you like them, dislike them, or are annoyed by them. And that's very, I mean, we give off a sense, whether we know it or not, we give off how we're feeling. Allowing the consequences to work for you will place a safety net around the relationship with the student. And it's in the forgiveness of their behavior that impacts the students. So we want second chances. We should always give our students second chances. Intervention and discipline should be low key with a calm demeanor and inconspicuous. When you might have those students who have anxiety. If you call on them the right way or you give them a certain attitude, they've completely closed you off and put up the walls, and you have completely lost them for the rest of the year. And that's why it's important to, with a calm demeanor, if someone's not doing the right or not giving you the right behavior, you could either speak to them quietly or try to reel them in an inconspicuous manner, for the fact that embarrassment seems to last a lifetime. And I'm sure that you know at least one person who is able to bring up and mention something from something that has happened to them in high school that they've held on to for over 30, 40 years. So it's very important to keep that in the back of your head, that embarrassment is one of the things that will put up those walls. Let the students know how their disruptive behavior affects you as a teacher. iMessages. So it's obviously always okay to state how you're feeling, and that's part of that stress management. This is how you're making me feel, and then that also will give them the option to choose the right behavior. So this is kind of classroom, high school sort of a high school type lesson, but it does apply to college students as well, in the sense that they're not very far out of high school, some of them, and they're then back into a classroom. So this does apply to in both cases. So it's not uncommon in our schools for staff, administration to think of the arts as unimportant. This is my own personal understanding. I've dealt with this in the high school setting. I've dealt with this sorry, hang on one second. Okay, I've dealt with this in the high school setting. I've dealt with this in the college setting. But it's up to us specialist teachers to show why we need the arts. And this is just a little bit of a phrase that I had written out. And this is something that you can present to teachers or to other teachers, to other staff members, administration. And this is the truth about the arts. The arts have the ability to improve in areas such as engaging students in classwork, connecting with students with their own cultures, as well as providing individuality and identity. The arts help with decision-making, risk-taking, and teaching students who are visual learners that concepts can be taught in multiple ways. That's very important. And the benefits of the arts and the connections of the arts have to the core standards are numerous. And so it's our job sort of to help to remind the administration of these things. So it's important to write down and practice your argument and speech. As if you don't have more to do, this might be something that you might want to do in the future. But write down and practice that speech that you can present to either the body of students, the administration, your staff members, other teachers. And this is why does your subject have the ability to impact and change the school's body of students? And keep active with current art news. Like I had mentioned in this last year, there were several discoveries that had happened from 2020 and beyond. And it's nice to be able to present some of this material to other people, maybe other teachers. And you can also use it as a way to collaborate with other, maybe a history teacher, for instance. Allow for students most interested in the arts to fight for you. And this is great to have. I have one specific college student who did indeed go to the dean of the college that I'm teaching at and request that she would like to see, she stated that she would like to see art classes in the college. So that in this case, that was a student who requested on my behalf. And that in that case, I didn't have to request myself, for the schools to keep the arts alive. She was doing that for me. So if you have a grouping of students who are very passionate about the arts, it's nice to have that group of students to voice their requests to the schools. Present to your administration and staff when available. And, obviously they're also very busy. It would be the right time. Keep that in mind. You want to present at the right time, how important it is to keep the arts alive. And as opportunities come available, expose the arts to the school by contests, guest speakers, and so on and so forth. And we can be pretty creative with that. These are just a couple ideas of why the humanities are so important to colleges, to schools, so on and so forth. Okay, and then in the end, your influence will have a lifetime impact on your students. So give yourself time to breathe, make a list in your quiet time of all the ways that work in the classroom. And more importantly, thank yourself and I thank you for what you do in the art classroom. And that's my little speech right there. Love what you do and love your students. Okay, so how did you guys feel about some of what I said?
Thank you, Jamie. That was very well researched.
Yeah, I thought it was relevant for something like this.
And I think that the stress for teachers in the classroom is a hot topic. And I think that trying to find a way to deal with that day to day is something that even people who are like us that really do probably enjoy what we do, in the classroom. Not that they all don't, but it's still stressful.
Yeah, and what I've found is I have stress in managing how to present the class as relevant. and so that is one of the ways that I've sort of built up ways to, like in the previous slides, I've built up that argument where we can present that as relevant and important. We're just as important as any other subject. So, and if you guys have anything to add, please do so. If you send anything through email to me, then I can pass on that to other art teachers as well. So it's a little short and sweet today. It didn't take a whole lot of time to go through that. But how are your classrooms this year?
Mine's really great. This is the first time for me teaching a dual enrollment class, and I have a fabulous group.